All right, so something else that I noticed while watching the video again, which I think also just backs up my suspicions, is that Zay talks about the pigeon being able to identify breast cancer. So right around minute marker 8:31, 8 minutes 31 seconds in, to his True Facts, Pigeons Are Tricking You. He changed the title. It was Pigeons Aren't Mindless Peckers or something like that before. So anyway, about 8 minutes and 31 seconds in, he talks about
relationships. That sounds...
So you can see there, it's showing you a clip of pigeons pecking at, sorry, I've got cats fighting with each other. Honey bunny, leave him be. So you can see there, the pigeon has been trained to be able to tell the difference between a picture of normal tissue and a picture of breast cancer tissue. So right there, I already released a previous video, and I'll pull it up really quickly. Videos, so it's Zay Frank's rubber ducky is actually called the Demon of Brass.
This is Zay Frank.
Oops, sorry. Ugh.
Katie. No, not Katie. Stop saying...
This is Zay Frank.
Okay, so that's funny. My name's Katie. I don't really want to look at his face while I talk. I'll just look away from the screen, but I'll leave him up because it's appropriate because we're talking about him. You know what? And I don't want to deal with the copyright, blah, blah, blah nonsense, even though I don't intend to get any money for any of this. So let's just go back. But just to show you guys, I have this video. Go back and look at it where I talk about, and I'll also show you, that's a better idea. So I will show you my web blog on WordPress. Posts. So you can basically just go to this write out on my blog. I will post a link in the description. Oh my goodness. Stop it, you two. Hey. Oh, I can tell. I should probably redo this video, but you know, I'll see it through and then I'll make another one. Hopefully it will be faster. So, the human soul, the human foot, the clown and the crab monster, where I'm basically going through this blog post in that video I just showed you guys. So you can go look at the video, you can come to the blog post, and you can scroll through it yourself. It's not nearly finished, but I'm starting to make connections between the things, like sort of the veiled, you can see right here at the top where it says, decoding veiled subliminal messages of occulted symbolism in Zay Frank's videos. So this guy is into the occult. He's into using certain symbols that represent certain occulted ideas and philosophies. And so he just did that again by using the pigeon, which is basically a dove. They're related. They're from the same family. So when you use pigeon, you might as well be using dove. He's referencing a dove, which I'm going to show you some stuff about that. And I think he's also likening me to the pigeon and or the dove, and likening himself to a hawk. So I get into the crab monster here because he says some stuff about, in his episode about shrimp, which like shrimp and crayfish and crabs, they represent the heart in Hermetic astrology. And the devil also represents the heart because he represents passions, so on and so forth. So, and it talks about the harlequin shrimp eating starfish. So, and I talk about how clowns represent relate to all of this. I get into Melusine and Abrasics, but I want to go down specifically to, here's the part about showing some clowns, vampires, do a little side note on Peter Sellers, crabs. So I talk a lot about crabs. And I say specifically how the crab and or the crayfish and or crustaceans or lobsters sometimes are used to depict Cancer, the zodiac Cancer. I forget the name again. The word again. Sorry, I forgot this in one of the last videos. The constellation for Cancer. So here's a depiction of it, for example, where it looks more like a lobster or a crayfish, but that's meant to represent Cancer in the zodiac wheel. That's a small section of a larger mural. So yeah, so he's using the shrimp to represent the heart, to represent cancer essentially, and that's where we get carcinogens from, which you might get breast cancer if you had an excess of carcinogens. But also, again, Cancer or the crab, they're interchangeable. Cancer is represented by the crab. They represent the heart. Is the Hermetic astrology stuff down here? Or up farther? Oh, I added some to this, by the way, recently, talking about a little bit more about the pointed finger symbolism that you see both here in the depiction of the Abrasics on the right-hand side and Zay Frank's rubber duck. So I'm talking, I added a little bit more of some history in there. I have to add some more, but I put some basic stuff. Oh, here we go. So crab equals heart in Hermetic astrology. So Cancer, breast cancer, heart crab. Our heart is in our breast, is in our chest, and the heart is represented quite often by a crab or a crustacean of some sort in Hermetic astrology. So we have some different visual examples here. You see there, it's a crab, a lobster, more of a lobster-looking thing there. This one's very clearly a crab. This one's a crab. So, and another crab. So yeah, it can be a crab or a lobster or a crayfish type of anything sort of like that, or a shrimp. A harlequin shrimp, a clown shrimp. Okay? So, and again, please, come look at this this little blog article. Yeah, a little blog post turning into a freaking long ass article. I have to keep plugging away at it and adding more text to just the visual images. I know it's overwhelming visual images, but I am primarily a visual person. I'm a trained, again, to reiterate, I have a lot of formal education. I'm very, very well trained in visual imagery, in artistry, visual artistry, in painting, drawing, symbolism, visual symbolism. So I've been doing this. I started taking art lessons when I was 4 years old. Never stopped playing around with art and visuals. So I pick up on visual patterns a lot more, I think, than your average bear. So I'm able to recognize similarities in images that I think most people don't recognize. Without trying to sound too narcissistic, I'm just trained to. I've been doing this for like 35 years now. And so now I'm trying to point it out to the rest of you guys who are like lawyers and accountants and firefighters. I come from a family of nurses and nurse practitioners and firefighters and paramedics, and they're smart people and they're good people, but they wouldn't notice this either because they're just not trained to notice this sort of stuff. So I see it as being the burden I have to bear, like just try to point this out to people. And because I have a long-standing interest in secret societies and the different images and symbols that they use and hand gestures that they use and trying to figure out what all that means, I've made some connected some dots along the way over the past at least like 20 years now. I've been studying weird occult stuff. Started down the path in, I think like the 6th grade. And just reading about this stuff. So, sorry, I'm going to, let me, there's more that I need to point out. So again, go and look at this. I won't point this out anymore, dwell on it anymore, but I think I've made my point. He talks about the pigeon pointing out breast cancer, being able to peck at it and point pointed out, basically. So he's likening, I've already pointed out who he was. I released a video making that connection between he and the heart and the crab, like where I'm going over this same blog post that I'm showing you guys. So I pointed him out. Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast for you, Zay. Oh, buddy. Okay, so I have more important things to think about, like getting a bunch of information out there as quickly as possible so that people don't lose interest. All right, so just close your eyes if you need to. I promise you I'll, point out specifically when I'm on a screen I want you to see. Anyway, jeez Louise, a whiner. So yeah, I already, called him a professional clown, and the clown is a harlequin shrimp. He's likening himself. That's another way he's likening himself to this deity, that he has already likened himself to the Abrasax. I showed that with the rubber duck. All right, let me show you guys a little bit about the dove, the esoteric meaning behind the dove. Pigeons and doves are related because they are both members of the Columbidae or Columbidae. I don't know. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Family, which also includes doves. All right. So showing a pigeon can be just as good as showing a dove in terms of symbolism in media, in movies, and so on and so forth. Showing a pigeon, it can be just as good as showing a dove. So let me show you what the dove means. So the dove is associated with the columbine flower. Now that's because it's part of the Columbidae family, or whatever, Columbidae family. So it's associated with words like Columbus and Columbine, all right? And it's associated with the columbine flower. So it represents the Holy Spirit, essentially. The dove represents the Holy Spirit. I think a lot of Christians know this. I think that's a basic symbol connection that you guys make, right? You use the dove to represent the Holy Spirit. It's often, I see the dove often associated with Christianity. So keep in mind, he has Zay Frank at a certain point in his video. Oh, let's go back to, there it is. So in the very beginning of his video, I don't want to sit through nonsense. How can we, there we go. Let's get rid of that.
Turns out they have sensitivity to pattern.
No, hush. So, again, at the very beginning of his movie, or his video here, at the very beginning of the video, right around